Started. Hi there, this is Marcy at Woodmark. Welcome for those of you that are on the line and have joined us. We are going to get started here in just a moment. I'm going to pass it off to Lindsay to kick things off. Lindsay, are you on the line?
I am. Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay. So hi, everyone. Thank you for making the time to join us today. My name is Lindsay Dutton, and I'm the Director of Stewardship and Donor Relations at SickKids Foundation. I started here in February, and this is my first Woodmark cohort call, and my co-chair was not able to attend today, so just bear with me as I get through this. So we are going to start with the agenda, just reviewing the agenda and the group norms. And Marcy is going to flip us through it. Okay. So we're going to start with just level setting. And sorry, there we go. And then some introductions, and then knowledge showcase, and then have some group conversation, and then wrap up. So just to get started, we will review the group norms, and Marcy's going to pull them up on our screen now. Treat each other with respect. What's said on the call stays on the call. And let's be genuine about our challenges. We're all in this together. Listen first to understand. Be fully present, so try to resist multitasking. Share airtime because we want to hear from everyone. Celebrate one another's successes. And when making a comment, if you could start with your name and your hospital, and we can identify you that way. And then lastly, if you need to step away or if there's noise around you, just mute yourself would be appreciated. So let's begin with introductions, and we'll just go around, I guess.
So,
and
Lindsay,
I'm not sure how this part works.
Lindsay, it's Marcy at Woodmark. So what I'll do is I've got a list of participants
okay.
that I will, that I'll just call out. So if you want to explain what they're going to do.
Sure. So we're just going to say our name and our hospital, and the kickoff question today is, what was your first concert?
Fantastic. So Lindsay, why don't you get us started?
Okay. Lindsay Dutton, SickKids Foundation, and I can't really remember my first concert, but I think it was Neil Diamond.
Nice.
I'm going to go with that. Yeah, I love him.
All right. So this is Marcy at Woodmark. My first concert actually was Def Leppard.
Wow.
And I'm going to pass it to Rana at Woodmark.
Hi, everybody. This is Rana at Woodmark, as Marcy just said, and my first concert was Johnny and June Carter Cash. I was 8 years old.
Great.
Nice.
All right. So I've got someone that is listed as A Lentz or ALENTZ.
Yes, this is Allie Lentz at Chalk Children's Hospital in Orange.
Great. What was your first concert, Allie?
Before I forget, I have two of my coworkers here with me, so it'll just be three of us that are going to talk, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But my first concert was the Backstreet Boys.
My name is Tammy Arendain, obviously also with Chalk Children's, and I don't remember what my first concert was. My parents sing a lot, so it's probably something to do with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And my name is Jordan Chunk with Chalk, and my first concert, I'm not proud to say, was Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, that you should be proud of that. That's awesome.
All right, thank you. How about someone from the 720 area code?
Well, that's us. Hi there, this is Carrie Calloway calling from Children's Hospital Colorado Foundation. I am here with my team. There are 4 of us here. My first concert also was Def Leppard back in the 90s something era, or late 80s. So that saved me a little bit, but I also have others here, like I said, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Claire, and my first concert, I want to say, was Warped Tour. So I guess that ages me in a different way.
Hi, I'm Julie, and I'm going to count my first concert as I went to high school in Minneapolis with Prince Roger Nelson. So his first band played at my prom.
Wow.
Wow.
That wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm Devin, and I think my first concert probably was either Randy Travis or Garth Brooks when I was young.
All right. Great. Anyone else in that team there?
That's all of us.
Okay.
Just 4.
And that was Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Great. All right. How about the 267 area code?
Hi, this is Kathy from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. My first concert was Bon Jovi.
Nice. All right.
And this is Julie from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And my first concert was 98 Degrees.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else in Philadelphia with you?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Looks like someone's calling from Seattle, 206.
This is Catherine Hampton calling from Seattle Children's, and my first concert is embarrassingly Naomi and Winona Judd, and I have Sarah Sadid with me too.
Hi guys, Sarah here, also in Seattle, and my first concert was Spice Girls.
All right. How about Miller J29? Who is that?
Oh, that was me, Julie from CHOP.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
All right. Someone from the 403 area code.
This is Christy from Alberta Children's Hospital in Calgary, and my first concert was Whitney Houston.
Oh, that's a great one. Thank you. All right. Someone from the 416 area code.
Hi, everyone. It's Lauren. I'm not in the same office as Lindsay, but calling in from SickKids. That might be me. I was actually supposed to see Whitney Houston as my first concert, but she canceled. And so I was very lucky to see Diana Ross as my first concert with my mom.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Lauren. All right. How about the 952 area code?
This is Molly Loisel with Children's Minnesota Foundation. And gosh, my first concert, there's so many of these, I'm feeling really inspired. I think my first was Evanescence.
Fantastic. Is there anyone else there with you? It looks like I've got 2 952 lines connected.
No, that's my colleague I had joined.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Sarah, and my first concert was Green Day.
All right, great. Thank you both. All right, how about CH 158846? Okay, they're muted, so I'll give them I'll come back to them. All right, and I've got someone listed as just the Alberta Children's team. So did everyone have an opportunity from Alberta to introduce themselves?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. All right, is there anyone on the line that I didn't call out that hasn't introduced?
Marcy, this is Marlena from Children's Mercy, but I also have 2 of my colleagues with me. Marlena Mason, Children's Mercy. My first concert was New Kids on the Block. I'm sorry.
I could be today. And my first concert was Britney Spears.
All right, fantastic. Anyone else there, Marlena?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Is there anyone else on the line that I haven't called out?
Hey, Marcy,
Yep.
It's Megan from Riley Children's Foundation in Indianapolis.
Hi, Megan. What was your first concert?
Beach Boys. I mean,
oh, that's a good one. Great. Anyone else? All right. I think we're going to get started then. I'll move to the next slide, and I'll hand it off to Lindsay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Those were great answers. Right now, I want to thank Megan from Indianapolis for serving as co-chair, I'm guessing, for the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And so thank you very much, Megan, for your
been
participation.
my pleasure. Thank you for stepping in.
Thank you. And welcome to myself, I guess. Okay, I think we can move on.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about custom stewardship plans today. And I'm just going to be upfront and honest that I selfishly chose this topic because I'm really interested in hearing from all of you as well, because our program actually is in its infancy, and I'll explain that as I go. So I guess if we can go to the next slide, I'll give you a bit of background, which is when I started in February, and at that time, stewardship was a decentralized process. So apart from things like the annual report and stewardship reports, the fundraisers were primarily responsible for their own stewardship, which meant that it wasn't consistent or coordinated. Stewardship was happening and they were doing a good job, but there weren't overarching strategies to pull it all together. So there was no donor matrix, there were no stewardship plans. Items in gift agreements were being promised, but then not tracked. And so we didn't know what was delivered and what wasn't. So these were some of our original challenges just coming in this year. So some of the objectives that we wanted to achieve, of course, is providing a best-in-class donor experience, providing an enhanced level of service to our internal stakeholders. So what that means for me is that my team interfaces with internally to the fundraisers. We actually do not interface with donors. And that may be different for all of you, but that's what that means. I also wanted to be able to provide a proactive system where we weren't being so reactive with requests all the time, and that we were managing our workload and our workflow, as well as being consistent and coordinated with our offerings across business units. And then one of the other things that this is part of the question at the end too, is this idea of a surprise and delight moment for a donor. And just when we are so reactive, there often isn't time to think of the surprise and delight moments and the stuff that is above and beyond all the standard things that we do. And so I'm curious to know what others do in this area as well. Okay. So I thought I'd start off with just giving you, first of all, a look at, this is a working document, so I want to be clear about that. But when I said we had no donor matrix, we really needed to go back and look at what do we give people and at what levels. And when this gets finalized, I'm happy to share it because I think it's always interesting to know what others are doing. And we were trying, when creating this, we were trying to decide if everything could live in one comprehensive document, or if our corporate team is quite large, if it was too different and if it needed to have its own matrix. And that's what we're still working out before I can finalize this. And if anybody has, experience in how they've managed theirs, I'm happy to hear about that as well. And maybe we can tack that on as a question at the end. So just moving into team structure and keeping this matrix in mind, I wanted to work with a sort of this ad agency approach where we had account managers who were interfacing with our internal clients, the fundraisers. And so once the matrix came together, I decided to split the roles by giving level. And I did this because I wanted our account managers on the stewardship side to become specialists for certain giving segments, because the strategies at the $1 million plus level are much different than those at the $25,000 level. So I wanted people to be able to focus on offering an experience rather than just checking off items on a matrix. You know, there are also strategies within those giving ranges that we wanted to capitalize on. So within our foundation, you'll see on the screen when I'm talking about team structure, the reason why I split it up in those gift ranges is according to volume, so that each person also had a manageable amount of volume. And it also depended on whether we were doing custom plans. So for us, we start our custom stewardship plans at $100,000. There is sort of this middle child group, the 50,000 to 99, that we certainly significant donors and significant donations. I didn't want to lose them. So we have come up with a way to do semi-custom plans and semi-custom stewardship reports for that group as well. And then we have a leadership giving group, which is our 10,000 to 49,000 group. And we've actually, on the major gift side, we've just pulled them out from, they were straddling between our direct and digital marketing team and our major gift team. And so we've created an internal group where they can live and have their own home, because there are strategies that we want to apply to them that are different than some of the other groups. So that's why that was a section and a segment unto itself. So let me just go through. Okay. So if we move to the next slide, I want to just share what our process is, and there are challenges that come out of this process, but essentially having a signed gift agreement as our trigger. And then it triggers the SDR. SDR stands for Stewardship and Donor Relations. That particular account manager goes and meets with the fundraiser. We call them PMs, prospect manager, and they map out the donor's year, and that essentially creates the custom plan. So for instance, the SDR account manager takes we have a matrix template with a notes section that we take to a meeting. We fill it out with the fundraiser. We come back, the plan gets uploaded into our CRM, which is Blackbaud CRM. And then we are able to execute on it. And the step in between the upload and the execution is that the team is constantly running status reports to see where certain items are at and what's the lead time and work back schedule and things like that. So we can constantly see where something is in status and be able to trigger an internal process, because we act as the project managers. And we have, for instance, a team of writers, a brand team. Those are the two main ones. And then the coordinators on the stewardship team also manage some of the requests. So the account manager acts as just the project manager who is coordinating all of the activity, but then there's also an internal process that gets triggered to maybe create, if it's we need a thank you video, or we need a recognition piece, and that's the brand team. Or we need an impact report, and that's the writing team. So that's how it works from there. So I just thought I'd share a few of the challenges with this type of process, and we can also talk about that in our group conversation. So right now, for instance, there's a gap between when a donor gives a verbal commitment, or even if they've signed the gift agreement, because for us, the donor signs first, and then it comes back to us for our CEO signature of the foundation and our CEO of the hospital. Depending on travel schedules, sometimes that lag time can be 3 weeks or more. So the donor has signed the gift agreement or verbally committed, and then isn't hearing from us maybe for a month. So to me, that becomes a problem. We had an instance this summer where the donor gave a verbal commitment. It was a transformational gift. So for us, transformational gifts start at $5 million. So very significant donor, and verbal commitment. They had signed the gift agreement, but then they were away for the whole summer, and we had travel schedules on our end that we were managing. And so the gift agreement did not get to the SDR team, my team. And in the meantime, the donors came back from vacation, ended up calling the board chair of the hospital to express their disappointment that they had not heard from anyone about this very significant gift that they had just given. So we're trying to figure out how do we close that gap and how stewardship gets triggered sooner so that we can put the processes in place to start, whether it's a call from our board chair or a letter goes out immediately or what happens. The other challenge is sometimes there isn't always a gift agreement. So then we have to figure out what is our trigger. If a check just comes in to our gift administration team or through a corporate channel and we haven't been, there's no gift agreement to let us know that it's here, how do we manage that process? And then the third item is really, it's one of those good problems to have, but it's volume and just making sure that we have the right structure in place to be able to execute on the volume. So at this point, I really want to, I think we're going to group conversation questions. And I really just wanted to start having some conversation about, for instance, what level do you start your custom stewardship plans? And then things like, your challenges and any ideas around surprise and delight examples, and just anything in general. I'm happy to open it up and maybe we can share best practices.
Hi, this is Kathy from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. I have more questions than suggestions since it sounds like you're much farther along in creating individualized stewardship plans than we are. Okay. So do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Absolutely, go ahead.
So how many, what's the size of your team? And of that, how many account managers do you have? And how does that correlate with the number of fundraisers you have?
We have, so on the team, and we can go back to the team structure slide, but there is 6 on my team, and there are 4 account managers and 2 coordinators. So we have an associate director, a manager, and 2 associates. Each one, there it is, each one is responsible for a portfolio of those donors in those gift ranges. And then the 2 coordinators are helping to manage the requests that are coming down from the account managers.
Mm-hmm. And how does that correlate to the number of fundraisers you're supporting?
Well, we have approximately 45 fundraisers, and but if I were to give you an average of how many donors are in each bucket, and this is why it broke up into the, for instance, if we're looking at the 10,000 to 49,000 range, it's high volume but low custom. So those numbers are, tens of thousands, but we're looking at putting group strategies in place there and group plans. If we're looking at the 50,000 to 99,000, we're looking at approximately, there's about 500 people in there, donors who are active, which is why it's more of a semi-custom group plan as well for that range. Mm-hmm. When we get to the manager range, the 100,000 to 999, it's lower volume and higher custom. So this is where the custom plans start, and we're looking at an active portfolio here of 300 donors.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean active, I mean they're either in a pledge or they've given in the last 2 years, or these are net new gifts coming in one time. And at the $1 million+ level, again, even lower volume, but even higher custom. So really, we're getting really customized here, and we're looking at approximately, well, again, we've got about 300 active donors in that bucket.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And How do you mentioned that you upload the plan to Blackbaud. We don't have the Blackbaud CRM, not the new version. We're still in Razor's Edge, and we've incorporated some Salesforce overlay. So that one of our challenges is mapping future actions and recording past actions like stewardship actions in a way that it's easy to pull out of the system and easy to create prompts. Did you have to customize something, or was there a simple like plug-in for the Blackbaud CRM?
In Blackbaud CRM, they have stewardship plan functionality. So all we did was we took the benefits matrix and we created basically same as the buckets of the team structure. Essentially, we created a leadership giving benefits matrix, major gift benefits matrix, and our $1 million+ donors are called Royal Circle, and we created that matrix. And so in our Blackbaud CRM, when we are adding a new plan, we've already uploaded all of the potential things they could get, all of the benefits. And so depending on who the donor is, we're just going in and we're saying, yes, apply this plan to this donor, and all of the steps populate, all of the benefits. And we are able to either delete. So if we're going through it with a fundraiser and they say, you know what, these people don't need a gift reception, or they don't want an ad in the newspaper, or a thank you video, whatever it is, we can delete items that are and customize it that way, or we're adding things, because at the $5 million transformational level, everything is custom. So in that case, we're just being creative and innovative and adding our own steps there. So it gives you the option to delete or insert and manage it that way.
Okay, thank you. Last question. What do you mean by semi-custom?
Okay, so semi-custom is primarily for our stewardship plans. We have our team of writers, and we just changed the threshold this year. When I arrived, I learned that our writing team was providing a custom stewardship report for donors that were $10,000 or more. That was approximately 420 custom stewardship plans a year, which was absolutely unattainable with the team that they had in place. So we raised the threshold to $100,000 for custom reports. But again, I didn't want to lose sight of this 50,000 to 99 range, because very significant giving here as well. So the way we did it was that all of the custom plans also have a generic version. And so a number of the people in that 50 to 99 range, we just have to do a slight tweak, and it becomes a generic report, but we personalize it to them by putting their own cover letter on it or what have you. So that's where I say we're repurposing the content and just personalizing the cover letter.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions. Thank you. So if anyone else has questions, happy to answer them, or we can go back and just open it up and sort of go around and talk about what level other people start their custom stewardship plans at, or what your challenges are.
Lindsay, hi, this is Megan. I have a quick question. So as the stewardship has transitioned, I guess, away from your gift officers and, into the stewardship team, how has that gone over? And then how do you guys work with your gift officers? So I'll say, for example, at Riley, what used to happen when I first started about 5 years ago was that gift officers would handwrite a stewardship plan for their donors. It would go in a binder, and then it would live there, and it would never be looked at or touched, even by the stewardship team, because we were in constant contact, I guess, with the gift officers. So is that something you rely on them to document? I mean, I guess you said they meet with them, but is that, do you guys have like a form or something like that to kind of help guide that conversation?
Yes, we do have a form. It's based off of the donor matrix. And it's really just, and I'm happy to share it as well, but it is depending on what level. So if it's a $1 million+ donor, we take that template, which is all of the benefits relating to that level of giving, and we go sit with the with the fundraiser, and that's what we go through. And there's a section for notes, and we make notes as we go. And so we're having that dialogue with them up front so that we can then, and that's what we use to come back and put it in the system. Now, with regard to the first part of your question around transition,
yes.
I laughed because it's one of those tricky questions where
it's a little loaded. I'm not going to lie.
it's loaded, and I'm happy to answer it. It's because it is a paradigm shift, and so there's a push and pull, right? Because I think on one hand, everybody was really excited about it and asking for it, and it takes something off of their plate, and they were realizing that stewardship wasn't consistent across the board. So, a fundraiser might be offering a custom thank you video for their donor at $25,000 when really that's $1 million+ benefit.
Right.
So other fundraisers were looking at this and going, well, I didn't do that for my donor. And so from a consistency perspective, they really understood why it was important that we rein things back in and start to centralize and create overarching strategies that can offer a best-in-class donor experience at the appropriate levels. So I haven't been met with that much resistance, but we are right now in a learning curve of it's more process. Okay, so I'm speaking as a fundraiser. I don't go to the brand team directly anymore to do the video. I have to funnel through stewardship because what we've done, and so our other departments have been quite excited by this shift because they would get bombarded with requests from all of the fundraisers. So you can imagine 45 fundraisers coming to you with, their pipeline of donors for various things. What the stewardship department has become is a funnel. So now everything related to stewardship and donor relations funnels through, I should say stewardship and recognition, funnels through my team, and then we activate it with the writers or the brand team.
Okay. I love that. I think that's one of our challenges is equity and ensuring that the right level of stewardship is happening at the right gift level.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Marcy, do we want to do sort of a round, I was going to say a round table, but like a round phone of custom, what level plans start at or challenges?
Yeah, I think we could actually just start with that first question and get feedback from everyone. And we can call on people. We've got a whole group we've got Philadelphia and Seattle. So if anyone,
does anyone start less than 100,000 for custom plans? No? Okay, so we're all sort of in that ballpark?
This is Children's Colorado, and we've battled with this for years. I would say probably where to start or where to draw the line between semi-custom to custom.
Yeah.
And I would say we border, I would say our endowment level donors at $50,000. We're trying to bump that up to more of the $250,000 lifetime level donor. So we're trying to bump that up, which has been a struggle because we've been stewarding the lower, the more personalized way. But I would say we probably start around 250 customized, fully customized. I would say endowment levels are probably semi, depending on where they are in the cultivation and ask strategy with the process manager. And I would say our circle of care level donors fit more into that grouping as well, like you all do at SickKids.
Yeah, great, thank you.
So anyone else want to share? Yep.
Sure, this is Sarah in Seattle, and we do fully custom stewardship reports, and kind of donor experience tracking with our primary relationship managers at million plus. And I would say semi-custom, depending on the donor and where they are in the donor cycle, around 200 plus. But it's definitely a challenge to try and track these actions. Something we're working on right now with our data and prospect research teams is to build out a tracking system using Razor's Edge. So stay tuned on that.
So you're in Razor's Edge as well?
Yeah, we are.
Yep. So I know, I can't remember who asked at the beginning, said they were in Razor's Edge as well, and that was their challenge too. Yeah,
that was me. This is Kathy at Children's Philadelphia. Yeah, we are. It's definitely challenging to categorize the actions in a consistent way to show that they're part of a stewardship plan, and then be able to review them and revise them as needed later, and then to add future actions, like how far into the future do you go, who gets the reminders. It just becomes, what if the plans change? It becomes very, very cumbersome in Razor's Edge, and we don't have a good solution to that yet. And just jumping in on our current practices, we create individualized stewardship plans for donors at the $1 million level and above now. And custom reports, however, we'll create for donors at all levels based on frontline fundraiser request. And we produce standardized reports for all endowments at present. And I just want to clarify with the group, when people are weighing in and saying that they create something fully custom at $1 million or fully custom at $250, does that mean that you are also creating those full plans at that level, or just custom reports?
Well, it's Lindsay, and I'm happy to jump in. It's a little bit of both. So definitely fully custom, or we do fully custom stewardship reports starting at 100,000. But that is also where we start creating custom stewardship plans as well.
This is Carrie in Colorado, and I would use the word custom plan as opposed to report, because the custom plan for us really means it could be a report, it could be an experience, it could be an event, it could be a bunch of different things. So it's really more of a plan.
Okay.
Great. Okay, perhaps we should move to the next question. And I believe it's around any challenges. Yeah. And I've mentioned mine, which is, that gap between a verbal commitment and just that sort of lag and acknowledgement, as well as if, and this is where I'm curious to know what others do, if it's not coming in from a gift agreement, how does the stewardship team get triggered, and so that we can start our process? Does anyone have any solutions or their own challenges?
This is Sarah, again, in Seattle. We're kind of referring back to the system that we are trying to create using Razor's Edge. We are going to be using the proposal function as sort of the starting point, instead of relying on a signed gift agreement or any type of gift commitment, because like I'm sure so many of us experience, there's an extreme lag. And right now we're working probably on a month-long timetable from the time the commitment is made to the first custom thank you that the donor receives.
Right.
So we're trying to be more proactive by using that proposal function. So when a gift officer enters that proposal, I will be able to track proposals as they come in and kind of sort them by likelihood of closing and time frame for closing, so that we'll be able to try and be more proactive in having those conversations with fundraisers before gifts actually close.
Oh, I like that. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question related to that. This is Molly with Children's Minnesota. We've also been exploring a similar process on our team, and but our focus for customized stewardship plans is $1 million plus. And can you provide any insight into the usage of the proposal function when, say, $1 million plus donor is perhaps paying on their pledge and or may not make that additional commitment, but yet you're still trying to track those actions for that donor to pull together metrics for success? Can you share a little bit about that?
Sarah,
does that make sense
for you?
Wait, could you say that again, Molly?
Yeah. So in our shop, we are working to kind of redesign the process for tracking stewardship activity and creating those customized plans for our $1 million plus donors. And some of those donors may be paying off a pledge or may not make another commitment for, say, another year or two, but still need to receive customized stewardship. And so we're exploring that process of utilizing the proposal function in RE to track stewardship activity. But when there are the cases of there isn't an active pledge, how do you tie back those actions?
Sure. Okay. I got you now. So we actually kind of in tandem with this new proposal work are working on building out a system to track what we are calling for the time being sort of lifetime donors. So our really high level donors who maybe made a commitment 10 years ago for $5 million and it's already paid off, but we still want them to hear from us regularly. So the way that we are kind of envisioning that is meeting with fundraisers to talk through what would be meaningful and the time frame. And if there isn't a natural time frame or a time of year that a fundraiser should be reaching out, then we will sort of just arbitrarily create stewardship opportunities twice a year. That's kind of our hope for now. And we haven't really gotten into exactly what that looks like yet. And I think once we have a better idea of, how many donors we're actually looking at, we'll be able to figure out how we can implement a process for that.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? Or we can move on.
Oh, I was just going to chime in. This is Claire from Children's Colorado. I was going to say that our greatest challenge has been that we're sort of victims of our own success. So people see, we have some really creative people on our team, and we do some really cool stuff, I will say. And what happens is, of course, a philanthropy director, a gift officer sees that and wants something similar, or they want us to brainstorm something that they've never even thought of, all these different kinds of touch points to sort of make the donor feel special, but it doesn't always align with the capacity of the donor or how much the donor has given or can give. So that's been sort of our greatest challenge. And I don't know if anyone else has had this experience or can talk to this experience and how you sort of frame these stewardship touches and these stewardship plans in a way that your gift officers sort of understand what our capacity is and what's appropriate at the different giving levels.
So it's Lindsay. I'm just going to touch on something that I forgot to mention earlier, and it ties into this, which is when I was pitching this paradigm shift to everyone, especially on the recognition side of it, we have a governing body here, our Canada Revenue Agency, that there actually are guidelines and a specific policy that says we can spend 1%, up to 1% of the total gift. So when we're creating recognition pieces and, you know, cool ideas, that's all fine and good, but we need to, that was part of how we were able to put our thresholds in place and see what people got at what levels, and just like what's the budget, and we have a ceiling that we can't go over. So if somebody, for instance, is getting it, they've reached, we start our naming opportunities at 250,000. So if they're getting a naming opportunity and a recognition piece, then we know that, you know, we can't also offer a Globe ad, or that's our newspaper. We can't also offer a newspaper ad because now we're past that limit. And that's when we can get into an actual auditing issue with the government. So that did help people to understand that, okay, there are some oversight bodies that we need to be aligned with. And it's the stewardship team that is monitoring that. It's the stewardship budget that is, you know, being used, and it is the stewardship, also the team that is mandated to manage this and being measured on it. So when I put it in terms like that, everybody was able to understand that this is why we can't do, you know, the newspaper ad for donors at $10,000 or various things like that. It gets a little trickier on the stewardship side because there is no audit issue with that. But again, it sort of helped us to align everybody, especially when what I used on that side of the I guess conversation was that we also have to be mindful of our colleagues' time and resources. So if we're constantly going to the brand team to come up with new and creative and innovative ideas, and your donor is $10,000, we just can't be using their time that way. So we tried to create a bit of a return on investment model and say, okay, at this level, that's when you get to pull in the brand team. At this level, this is what you're working with. And we kind of did a comparison chart like that. Is that helpful at all, or didn't answer the question?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was super helpful. And just to chime in for kind of what we encounter here is a lot of the same sort of, we do something well once and we have a lot of requests for similar projects. And what we kind of rely on is that we want to allow for a future donor experience, not just one in the immediate, to help really build the relationship even further and deeper than it currently is. So that has been kind of a useful talking point when working with our fundraising partners, just that, you know, how can we all work together to be really thoughtful about the overall strategy, not just what can we do tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm going to chime in. This is Megan from Riley. I think one of our challenges is that our donor experience, there's really not a lot of distinction between levels. So for example, like annual giving, so those $1,000, maybe up to Circle of Care, it doesn't look a lot different than a major gift donor, which is an issue. So we have gift officers for that level who have personal relationships with caregivers, who have relationships with donors, and they're involved. And not to say that they necessarily shouldn't be, but I'm constantly pushing, I feel like, with our gift officers that our biggest asset is our access. Access to caregivers, access to the hospital. And when you're offering a tour led by a physician or a leader to a $1,000 donor, how does that make an experience special for a $100,000 donor? And it's been really hard, I think, for us to kind of, because it's been like this for so long, you know, it's like that whole thing. It's been like this for so long, or we've been, you know, but this is what we've always done. And it's hard to break that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the matrix is a great place to start. And we do have something similar to that. It's just, and in fact, it's funny because it just came up again today with one of my colleagues who was like, but these caregivers have asked to be involved at lower levels, you know, and, and you know, you don't want to take that away, of course, if that's what they're asking for. But at the same time, is it really the best use of their time? Is it really, I don't know, you know, so we get into this whole debate, I guess. But yeah, any thoughts on that? I mean, Lindsay, I could totally understand where having that matrix in front of you is a huge help, because I think that really does kind of lay things out to say, oh, like, oh, wow. Yeah, look, we're offering these people something that, you know, maybe is typically reserved for $1 million plus, like, oops. And then they kind of know not to do that again. But
yeah, exactly. And it is a great challenge that you raise. And it is the conversation around if we are striving to provide a best-in-class donor experience for every donor at the appropriate an appropriate experience at the appropriate levels, then if we're offering these things for $1,000 donors, we're devaluing it for our larger donors. Because if everybody gets access to it, then it's not exclusive. So we have to, you know, be mindful of our colleagues' time, and as you said, and is it the best use of their time, even though they're willing to do it, but also how we are valuing or devaluing various benefits, because you know, then really how do we distinguish, as you're saying, how do we distinguish between $1 million+ donor and $1,000 donor? And that at some point in the loop of the, you know, the prospect cycle, at some point we have to also be using stewardship as a way to cultivate new revenue and larger gifts. So what I tried to do when I was pitching this in the first place was really pull out to like the bigger picture. And you know, even going back to just really basic, the major gift cycle, and saying like, this is where stewardship fits into this whole cycle. And then let's drill into stewardship a bit, and then we eventually getting down to the individual items on the matrix. And so that people could see like, okay, stewardship is one part of it, but it also has to drive revenue and retain donors. And if we're devaluing benefits, then that's not going to be successful. And so we're sabotaging ourselves.
No, that's a great point and a great way to look at it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else with a challenge? Or I'm mindful of the time as well. We have 9 minutes. Should we move on? I think.
Yep, we can definitely move on.
So this one was, and some of you have already mentioned, you do some really creative and innovative things. And I just wondered if anyone had something they wanted to share that was just really cool.
I can share something. So coming, and this hasn't happened yet, so TBD on the results of this, but our Heart Center CV service line has recently achieved a 3-star status with the Society of Thoracic Surgeons, which is a huge deal, and we're very happy. So the service line is throwing a celebration, which is wonderful, and they asked to partner with us at the foundation, which is huge. So as part of this, you know, you look at it and you go, okay, yeah, this is a great moment to celebrate our staff, but there are donors who help make this happen with their giving. So it seemed to be a great opportunity to invite some of our higher level donors. This is not something that's open to every donor. And we're talking people who have invested $1 million plus or 6-figure gifts into the service line, and more specifically into some clinical research. So pretty specific pocket. But we're trying to use this as a cultivation / stewardship tool to move some of these relationships forward. And I think that's helped with not only building a better relationship with the hospital and knowing that we want to have our donors involved, because a lot of them are patient families of theirs, but it also, it's an exclusive opportunity. And here we go talking about exclusivity again, for these donors to interface with some of our staff in a way that they wouldn't normally. And so it's more of a social setting. And so we're hoping that this will, we're right now, very much we're cultivating a pretty large gift from a family that's invited to this. So we're hoping that this is kind of that last piece that's going to move that relationship along to the point where they will commit another 7-figure gift to support the work being done. So TBD on this, but I will say one of the special things we're doing with that, not only inviting them, is having a takeaway, not just for our donors, but for the entire staff, just in a pin. So a pin that staff can easily put on their badges or on, their lab coats or whatever, but also the donors can keep, and they know that the staff have that too. So.
No, that's nice. Well,
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, good luck and congratulations on the 3-star status. That's
we're very excited.
Exciting. Keep us posted on what happens.
I sure will. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else with something they'd like to share or something innovative?
This is Christy from Calgary. Just to follow up on Megan's last comment, we did do an event last November where we presented the family with custom artwork from a patient through our art therapy program. And so we did as well make small magnets with that same artwork, and then gave those out to the staff, because we were really trying to establish the sense of you're all part of this virtual center. And so I think that went a long way, and it was just such a small token, but it meant a lot to people to be able to receive that as well.
And especially when you have a virtual something that you're trying to, recognize people too. That's a great idea, because there's no physical space to name or rally around. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Carrie in Colorado, and I'm going to boast on one of my teammates right now. But we had a unique situation about a year and a half ago, of having to redo our $1 million donor wall. And our donor wall, for each donor, they receive, their name gets placed on the wall with a spur, and we're in Colorado, so it makes sense, spur with a leather tag, includes a recognition name. So we had to redo the wall because we fortunately outgrew it a little while ago. We couldn't rehang the spurs and tags, so we repurposed them, and to celebrate the 10 years of the Giving Society in the New Hospital, we took their original inaugural spurs and tags and had them redesigned into a wooden box, for lack of better words, that has, our logo and made by a local woodmaker and so on, and had those made for each Gate Society member, and included a 10-year impact report letter signed by our president to thank them, and which was great. Some of these people were inaugural donors when we moved to this hospital, and we haven't really necessarily heard from all of them since then. They became inaugural members and still remain a little engaged with us, but this was a great way for us to kind of reconnect with some of those folks and celebrate our 10 years and 10 years of impact with them.
Oh, that's a lovely idea, and just as you say, a great way to reconnect. And what was the response? I'm curious.
It's been great. I mean, this is, we tend to not do giveaways very often, but this is so personal, I think, for those donors. We've had really good responses from them, and I think the key too is to have that impact piece with it too, so it's not like we're just giving them a gift. It really illustrates kind of what they've done for the hospital over the 10 years. So they've been really well received, and it's given our fundraisers a really nice opportunity to go visit with folks and not have it be an ask, and but just engagement visit.
Yeah, it's a great feel-good opportunity. I like that. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, we have 2 minutes, so I think we need to wrap up. Correct, Marcy?
Yes, that's absolutely right. So we'll pass it to Rana really quickly to talk about some news about WE.
Great.
Thank you, guys. This was a great conversation. I've really been interested to hear what all of you are doing. And we'll be even more interested to help you exchange ideas like this all the time on the new WE platform. We're delighted to say that it's launching next week. And our goal with designing this new platform was to make it as easy as possible for you to get into WE, find who or what you're looking for quickly and intuitively, giving you the knowledge that you need when you need it. And so each cohort has a space that makes it easy for you to do 4 things. First is to find out when the next cohort call is happening and RSVP and add it to your calendar with 1 click. Second, get a list of the members of the cohort. We hear great ideas from each other, and sometimes we're like, oh, I think that was Sarah in Minnesota who shared that, but I'm not quite sure. But if I look at the list, that'll help jog my memory, so you can get that easily. Third, find the materials and tools that are referenced in your cohort meetings and the things that you want to share with your colleagues because you're proud of them and you think that it might help their work as well. And fourth, have a discussion with your colleagues. And the great part about this is you can respond to discussions from your Outlook inbox. So if you're sitting at your desk and an email comes in with the latest cohort discussion, you can respond right there to that email without ever going into the platform. So you'll be getting an email from us or from your senior associate next week with all the instructions for how you get into the new platform and create a profile. And we're hopeful that we see you on there very soon. If you have any questions, you can be in touch with me either through the WE platform or it's ronap@thewoodmarkgroup.org. Thanks. That's it.
Thanks, Rana.
Great. Okay, thank you, everyone. There's the next call date, and I've really enjoyed hearing from all of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.